Hello, can you hear me? I'm sorry, I don't know how it happened. The network just cut me out. Hello, are you there? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can get you.
I'm really very sorry about that. I just got cut out. I cannot explain. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you once again to In Truth and in Spirit, Well of Worship Fellowship. Today is the 3rd of March, 2025. My name is Peter Calverland Silvide, your moderator tonight. In Truth and in Spirit, Well of Worship Fellowship is... Yes, I was saying that In Truth and in Spirit, Well of Worship Fellowship is a Christian fellowship, but a denominational. It is a religious meaning it isn't partisan to any religious politics. We don't subscribe to any religion. I mean, that will be another day. Christianity is not a religion. Christianity is faith in one man and God, whose name is Christ Jesus. That's what we are. But we organize these fellowships every Monday, and they're called Q&R fellowships, question and response, because we think that through questioning what we believe, or through questions, we get to understand the world better. And when we do understand the world better, we act better. And when we believe God, when we get God right, we know we have a lot of other things right, you know. Yeah, so you're very much welcome. We profess first. We profess that there is a God who created us, and this God is in charge of our creation. There is a problem. The problem of the world is the state of sin, and the only solution out of the state of sin is God who became a human being by the name of Christ. We believe in continuous education. We believe in continuous work to improve ourselves, to improve others, and to improve our environment. I'd like to open the floor because this is a question and response fellowship. If you have a question on any area of life, God, no God, religion, no religion, economics, a relationship, love, sex, marriage, except politics. But of course, if it's a question on politics, probably people can also, why not? Because it's a question and response. I think there's no problem as long as it's a question of life, health, nutrition, money, business. If you have any question concerning that, this is your time. I would like to welcome Umchwezi Rutembana. I would like to welcome Aineviona Justice. I would like to welcome Nicholas Isaac Mukwana, Doctor, our sister Opio Sandra, and Isaiah White Tumwina Mtawazi, the resident theologian of this fellowship. You're very much welcome. If you have any question, please feel free to tap the icon, the raise your hand icon. You will have the floor and have yourself ask a question. This is your time. Okay, this is your time. If you have a question, please bring it to the flow and we shall be glad to respond. Yes, Umchwezi Rutembana.
Yes, Peter, thank you. Thank you, sir. Yesterday we had some unfinished business, and I was hoping that if there's no other question, maybe probably we can answer the question here. And the question was, we when we talk about salvation, we are talking about salvation on the cross. And it seems that salvation is only documented in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken, the events rotating around our salvation. But the issue is that the people who use that book, out of the population of 8 billion, there are about 2.3 who are, okay, out of our entire world's population of 8 billion, we are about 2.3 billion Christians. The balance are not Christians, and Christians, I'm taking it in a larger perspective of saying everyone who believes in Christ, the people who read the Bible, who go to church on Sunday, and sometimes some people on Saturday, all of us read that book. So my question is on the other okay, let's say 6 billion roughly, who are living, but then they are not using this book. How are they supposed to know about this salvation? Yesterday I'd even asked a question that usually when things are very serious, the owner takes the things in his own hands. You take the bull by its horns, and you make sure that you do something on a situation whenever it's a do or die. Our destiny is do or die, but God has never come out probably to express himself to these people who are actually worshiping cows. For them, they are worshiping cows, or they are worshiping Buddha because they have grown up worshiping that. They do not believe in this Bible. And probably if that is the only way to heaven, they may not have a chance of getting to know it because it's in the Bible. So yesterday we had started that discussion, but you can continue from there. How come God is silent on this issue for the other remaining parts? Now I'm just actually even assuming that even the 2.3 billion people understand this thing called salvation. Just hypothetically saying that, but at least for the other side, the information is not there. And probably if it's not there, then now the higher chances of not understanding the chances of not understanding are higher. I don't know if the question is clear.
Thank you. Thank you, Mchozi Rutembana, our brother, for such a wonderful and mind-intriguing question. I think we've understood the question. I mean, the 2.3 billion people, probably because of their environment and because of the people they meet, have been able to come across this talk and text about the cross and Christ as the only way to salvation. And your question is, what about those who exist in an environment with a social cultural environment and a nurturing where their talk and text is something else other than Christ? While we value Christ to that extent, they value Buddha, they value Shinto, they value Confucian, they value Muhammad, they value Allah, they value Ruwama, they value Nyabingi, and so on. And they are the five, and not because they are obdurate, or not because they are stubborn, but because they've been oriented and nurtured in that way from child, or from birth to death. So what has God to do with that? Why doesn't God pronounce himself clearly on the clouds? Am I representing you well, Mr. Rutembana?
Yes. To remove all the doubt. I think if one day he ever wakes up and he speaks through the sun, because at least I think most of us see the sun, and he tells us that you know what, this is the thing. You guys who are in Buddha, you're wrong. Over you guys who are professing Christ, actually the right thing is what is Muhammad.
So why does this God leave us in guesswork if it's such a serious one?
If heaven is serious, or if it's there.
Yes, if it is a serious business of eternity and not eternity. Okay, why does he leave us to betting? You keep on betting with the Quran, you keep on betting with the Bible. Okay, and, you know, even those who profess the Bible are highly denominational, they are highly partitioned, you know. So Mr. Rutembana, I would like to know about that. Yes, we shall have responses. Let me hope members here have listened and they're going to provide the appropriate responses. They might not be correct, but probably they will be right and probably rather appropriate. Yes, Mr. Ainebiona, Justice, your hand was up. Let us take your question again or questions, and then we shall.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether I'm audible. Am I?
Yes, you're very audible, loud and clear.
Okay. We thank God for giving us such an opportunity. Now, my question is very close to my brothers. For over time, I've been asking myself, what could be the relationship between religion or religions and God? What is the relationship between religion or religions and God? Two, all within the same context, is belief about faith or practice? Is belief about faith or practice? Do I need to have faith in a certain belief, or I need to do practices? There's some practices and customs that I have to perform to show my belief. Thank you. Hello, was my question clear?
Yes, Mr. Nabiona. Yes, Mr. Nabiona, I was saying that could you ask now again so that we recapture and we begin with you, and then we shall go with, we shall take Mr. Rutembana's last.
Oh yes, I was asking, or my question is
Number one.
What is the relationship between God and religion or religions? Anyways.
Good. Number one.
And number two is belief about faith or about practice? By belief, I mean by choice of a super being. Should it really depend on my actions or practices or faith? Thank you. That's my question.
Yes, Reverend Dr. Isaac Mukwana, I would like to invite you to take on Mr. Ainebiona's two questions. Let me hope you heard him loud and clear. Did you?
Yes, I did.
Yes, brother, please take on the two questions. And let us listen from you. You have the floor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chair, for inviting me to share my opinion with Ainebiona Justice. Ainebiona, you've asked a very, very critical question. Religion is a culture, and God is a person. And God relates with all cultures, so including religion. Just like you see the strictness of the Baganda culture, a true woman should kneel down. When you're greeting Omutanda, you should bow down. So does religion demand that if you're practicing or if you believe in that particular religion, so you do the things that religion requires you. I normally have strong words against religion, and I will tell it to you right away, Mr. Ainebiona, that there is no relationship between religion and God. The religion is a man-made thing. No wonder Malcolm X or Karl Marx, I think Karl Marx said the religion is the opium of the poor. They drink it and get drunk and temporarily forget their problems. And the following day, they wake up to the same problems. You've heard many people say if you're a good Muslim, for example, you must pray 5 times a day, you must a good Christian, Catholic, you must go to a good seventh day, you must not eat this, you must do that, a good Anglican, so the religion is really man-made, and historically it has something to do with politics. The people in power wanted to have authority over the growth of worship in God. And if you remember in history, I think it is Constantine, the emperor, who was created for becoming the first Christian. But there is one in 500 called Gregory, Pope Gregory, Emperor Gregory, was another terrible one who inserted and asserted his authority of church, and therefore there the regions began. What you're about to see is that even in Uganda, the Bachwezi who are leading us have slowly but steadily been inserting their authority, and they have gotten it. No wonder right now in Parliament, they are trying to legislate how many wives you should marry, and if you don't marry them, what will happen? Okay, so that's the region. God is a person who wants a relationship with you as an individual, regardless of where you come from, what you believe in, I told you that God relates with all cultures, because culture generalizes the way people behave, live, associate, and value things. So God has no problem with how you relate. For example, if in your culture you think that a woman should kneel down, God will not come and dictate and say, hey, you are wrong. And if the reverse is true, but what God is after is you having a relationship with him. That is my first submission on that issue of religion and God. So religion is culture. Number 2, you're asking about whether we live by faith, or belief is faith, or practice. In other words, are there certain things we must do? To me, I see as if you've asked the same question, because it's religion that is about the do's and the don'ts. And faith has nothing to do with the do's and don'ts. Faith has 3 things. Faith is a trust, dependency without evidence. That's faith. Trust, dependency without evidence. Religion is do this to be a good Catholic, do that to be a good Seventh-day Adventist, do this to be a good Pentecostal. Yesterday I was driving from Jinja, and I was listening to a man of God and was saying certain things that if you've come from home and there is certain amount of money you've decided to give, right now, if you change and give that which pains you, God is going to be moved by that painful offering to change your story. And I was like, oh my God, is that God, the God I believe in? That God that wants me to come to Chambogo, painfully make the money, and painfully give it away for him to give me. That's not my God, and that's not God. That is religion. And many people have been tied in a web of religion. When you study, you question, and you talk to God, you're going to discover that this God is not even concerned with how many wives Ainebiona marries. He's not concerned about all those. Those ones are for our, let's say, public opinion. How can Dr. So do something like this? Okay. But then we hide it on, we put it on God. Recently, I was arguing with somebody. He gave a testimony and said, you people, Katonda agenda tukube emigo. I've failed to translate that in English. Maybe Peter will. Katonda agenda tukube emigo. Tumwerabidde. During COVID, people said, Katonda tukubi omugo. I said, that God is not the one I know. Katonda wange does not move with a rod or a staff to strike my back for the do's and practices that are violated. No, that's not my God. My God puts me in his chest, says, my son, well done, good and faithful servant. Now, I'm not now trying to say that you should not do good things, because ideally good things reward good things. The laws of nature, like gravity, the sowing and the reaping. To me, the law of sowing and reaping is more like the law of gravity. You know, that one is purely outside God. It is in this universe that we manage ourselves. I'm not sure if I've helped my brother Ainebiona, whether I've confused you or I've made you even begin to fear me more, because that's what is happening these days. Every time you give this opinion, people are like, that one backslid. That one, I think he has fallen. Another one told me, we are waiting for your second wedding. When I was discussing, he would say, we are waiting for your second wedding, you know. But the person who is telling you that knows himself that he has had many. By the way, let me tell you this as I conclude on that issue of marriage. I was telling people that people don't know that a marriage is actually a union between a man and a woman. And then the Bible says that if you look at a woman and lust after her in your heart, you've already done it. So some of us are married to 100 women. But because you have one with a ring, oh, you look very holy. Anyway, that is it, my brother Ainebiona. That's what I can say for now. Let me leave my friends to make their submissions. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Isaac Mukwana. Reverend Dr. Isaac Mukwana is a teacher by profession, but is also a practicing theologian who believes, whose faith is in Christ Jesus. The last time I checked with him, okay, yeah. So he's a minister of Christ, and he ministers in several churches. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Yes, let me have Omchweze Rutembana.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Doctor, before you go, I wanted to just ask a follow-on question.
Yes, please
Now,
do. Go ahead.
Yes, Doctor, with your concluding remarks, and when you brought in the example of the preacher that you're listening to on radio, and who are saying, if you bring this money, then a miracle is going to happen to you. Now, the question is, what if that guy what if he's right? There's okay, first of all, his God tells him that. Maybe he's convinced that his God tells him that. But then on the other side, your God tells you that's not right. And that is, those are the differences that we have. So I want you to also tackle that, because now that is even related to what I was trying to ask. The pastor the God of Kakande tells him that you procure pens, sell them, and people will pass exams. But then there's another God who is saying, there's another person who believes in a different God who says, no, that's not right. And Kakande has these people. You saw the church that he built, close to 800 people. Maybe the things work, maybe they don't work. Now, that's the thing that I want you to come back and answer. Why isn't it this guy come and tell us that the right God is this one who says this and this and this? Because God says bring money. On the other side, God says do not bring money. One God says marry 4 people. Another God says do not marry, do not even marry. We're just there in some mix. This God here that we are making, why doesn't he speak for himself really?
Yes, Reverend. Please, yes, can you help a brother? Thank you.
Yes, my brother should understand that most people are in business. So in their businesses, they employ many strategies, including using the name of God. And that's where you need to be careful. If you don't read the Bible for yourself, somebody will read it for you, and then it will tell you what to do. And most people don't read the Bible, so they go to church every day, but they have never studied the Bible. And I think that's one of the reasons this Zoom fellowship exists, to give us this opportunity to, ask these questions and probably interact with our Bibles. But it could be that my brother, Pastor Senyonga, serves the God I serve. The difference is that his desire for money covers, or rather hides his, or rather blindfolds him from seeing the truth or what should be done. And there are very many. But remember, I told you that culture is different from God. So most religions are cultures. Those are cultural practices. The Bagis will tell you circumcise before you were a man. The Baganda will tell you a woman should go in the bush and do this before you're a woman. The Sabini will say you have to mutilate that thing. I don't know what the Banyankore do, but religion is culture. So it's not God. When the God of the Islam tells them that you should marry 4, it is a religion. It is, and they will tell you clearly that our religion teaches this. They don't say God. They say the religion. Now, the modern religions will say, no, for us, we are not a religion. We are sent by God. I have a friend of mine who has a church named as Miracle Center Fire Radical Church. Have you heard the name? Miracle Center Fire Radical Church. And it's in Mukono. And I don't know whether it is still there, because he told me he was going to open it some time back. Somebody looks for an eye-catching name that will bring him money. So people are making money. One time I preached in a church and my bishop didn't like it. I said, all pastors in Uganda are fighting poverty. I was teaching in church and I was saying to people, don't expect to spend time in the pastor's house because you think you're going to make you rich. And about three gentlemen who are living in the pastor left, and my bishop was very angry. But I opened their eyes and their wives thanked me later. They really thanked me. I told them, and I want to insist, pastors in Uganda, maybe pastor is too generic, but most of them are fighting poverty. And they are making money using the name of God. And that's what is wrong. What is wrong is making the clients vulnerable because we don't question things concerning God. Someone says, God, I said, give this. Who is you to question? But of course, that is for the lay mind, the people who don't read the word. You cannot tell me that to me. You cannot even dare. Even by just looking at me, you'll know this man is not very simple. But as long as you remain, you remain a good religious person, you want to have a good appearance before men, you want to have a good name, you are a candidate of exploitation. They are going to exploit you. They are going to do all kinds of things on you. So yes, brother, the reason is simple. People are practicing their cultures, not God. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you very much. Yes, I would like to once again welcome members who have just joined us. Mr. Muyanja Enoch, you're very much welcome. And Reverend Binempunu, you're very much welcome. The Gospel Ninja, you're very much welcome, brother. You're welcome, Jethro Msoke, our host. And by the time you came in, or by the time you joined us, the question on the floor here was about the difference between religion and God. Rather, is there a relationship between religion and God? That was the first question. Is there a relationship between religion and God? And then another question was, must my belief in God, or my belief in God, must it be proven by what I do and do not do? In other words, is it the same as faith? That was the question. Is belief in a super being, or in God, is it the same as faith? Now, those are the two questions that we were tackling before I bring a can of worms that Mr. Rutembana wants us to go in. Yes, do we have any responses, any further responses? Mr. Gospel Ninja, would you like to take on? Could you have your say in about 5 minutes on the two questions?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm not sure I want to engage immediately. I'm happy to be on. I think it's quite interesting when we come to ask the question of relationship between God and religion. Today I was engaging in a conversation with atheists, and it's on a book that I shared with them. It's a biblical critical theory, and they shared an AI critique of the book, and we had a conversation. The AI provided a definition of theology as the defense of doctrine. And why I come with that background is because theology, religion and God, religion is man's effort to try and understand and relate with God and the rest of existence, himself and nature. I would summarize it that way. So in terms of acquiring knowledge, forming an understanding, and then in reaction, in response, leaving that. Now, when you how that relates with God? Obviously, God starts it off. That's what I would say. But I'm waiting for the next question. That's what I would say. That God starts it off because He exists, creates us, creates everything else, and for us to get to know Him, understand Him, we do that via a path called religion and also relate with Him. And then others involved, factors involved, say books like the Bible and other books that we use or information that we use is on the same path, but God starts it all. So that's my relationship. That's how I see the relationship.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Muyanja, do you have any additions to that? Either that question, or must we prove? The other question is, must we prove our belief through what we do and do not do? Must we prove through what we do and do not do?
Yeah, I'll also probably be brief because a lot of submissions have been made, and I will just make a comment that what I think, or what I may know is that religion, as many have said, is just involves set of rules or kind of modus operandi of how one or a group has decided to to reach or communicate to God. So they set their rules and said, this is for this group of ours, for this religion group. This religion, I think, it's something you do constantly or repetitively. So this is our custom. This is our way of worshiping the God in a way we understand Him. Now, that could be different from what you decided to have an individual relationship with that God, which may go beyond that religious practice of yours, or even may not necessarily follow what your group may indicate. Now, truly, we can only tell someone believes in something by the actions they take. If you say this and do another, then we will not follow you. We will not take you seriously. So for individuals to know that they believe in a God, or they have faith in that being, it is indicated by the actions they take. So we can never know that they
Enoch, we lost you. We lost you. Has Mr. Trump switched off that aid as well?
I can hear you clearly, but maybe you don't hear me.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
now we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Please proceed.
Yeah, I don't know where I broke off, but yeah, that's about it. So basically, definitely for us to, as I was saying, that for us to tell that you believe in a God, we must see some action that you're taking. Yeah, so it's a faith thing. So without your faith, even I think there's a verse which tells us in the Bible that you will see them by their fruits. Okay, if there's no fruit, then we will begin to doubt if there was a real seed which was planted, or that particular plant is a mango tree or whatever. If it doesn't give mangoes, then we'll start to doubt it. And so definitely, I'm just saying that faith and belief, they go hand in hand. You need to have, and that equals also to action, what you do as a result of what you believe. Yeah. But generally, religion is man's way of trying to show my modus operandi of communicating with God. Unfortunately, individuals or religious leaders have kind of taken advantage of that gray area, and they have come to say that, oh, I have been shown by God, or God directed me that this is the way we should worship Him. Okay, remember that's why the Bible it circles all these things and terms them as human traditions, because an individual comes and tells you this is the way we should worship Yahweh. This is the way we should worship God. This is the way we need to do this in order for God for us to be in direct communication with him. It's just a human understanding. So that is religion for you. Okay. So that's why many of us are skeptical with many of the religious rituals that people go through, and in order and this separates them, knowing that they are the only ones with the truth, with the only true way of worshiping God. No, that is not the way to go. So I think God and man is just a personal relationship, and we should be really questioning all these religious kind of rituals that man has come up with. I think that's what I can say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I would like us to go to the other question. For further discussion on faith versus belief, the resident theologian here, Pastor White, has written treatises on this subject. Maybe while I'm moderating, Mr. Jethro Samba could drop the link, could go to the website, Pastor Isaiah White's website, and copy that link where he discusses, or where he dares to attempt to discuss, the difference between faith and belief in the context of Christianity. Yeah, while we move on, I'll ask Mr. Ansamba to go get the link, drop it here so that Mr. Enebiona picks it and for the consumption of the rest of the fellowship. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I would like us to turn to another question, but if you have anything to say, relevant, something to say, relevant, please go down there. There is an icon, the icon is named reactions. Tap on reactions, other icons will come, and by that you can raise your hand and have your say. I'm saying that because not all of us are technology savvy, and learning is also good. We continue learning. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, shall we proceed now to another question, unless there is somebody who would like to add to that, the relationship between God and religion, and then belief, faith, and proof of belief. If you have anything to say, please, I will invite you to raise up your hand, and we shall hear from you. We shall listen in from you. Okay. All right. The other question, the other flip side now, we have a question here, and now that Gospel Ninja, you're here, Reverend Mukwana is here, the resident theologian is here, Pastor White is here. We have a question, another question here from Rutembana Omuchwezi. And his question is I would like to paraphrase the question, and is here. You can amplify or you can add something to it, but this is what I shall do as a moderator. Let me paraphrase it. If matters of salvation are cosmic matters, if matters of salvation or eternal death and eternal salvation are such serious that they concern each and every human being, and they concern God, why doesn't this God pronounce him or herself clearly, unequivocally? Why doesn't he or she stand where each and every ear could hear him or her and pronounces themselves clearly, so that he does not or she does not leave us to betting? We have Christendom, we have the Christendom counting to 2.3 billion people out of the 8 billion people, but even the Christendom is highly sectarian. It is in sects and sects and sects. When I still belong to the Christendom, I used to belong to the Seventh-day Adventist religion or denomination. But by the time I left, Seventh Adventists alone had over 33,000, what do we call them? Sects? What do we call them? Offshoots? I think there were 33 or 23,000 alone. So even in the Christendom, we have further divisions, and these divisions emanate from not agreeing on the same matter from the same God. So Mr. Rutembana Umuchwezi would like to hear from you, would like to hear from us through this Zoom forum. If matters of going to heaven, now going to heaven is the metaphor used by Christians and non-Christians. If the issues of going to heaven, or matters of salvation, of eternal life and eternal death are serious, and the God who claims that is in charge of at least eternal life is a serious one, why does he seem to leave us at the mercy of guesswork? I would like to open the floor. Please, if you like to go first, let me have you raise your hands, please. Mr. Rutembana, have I represented you clearly?
Yes, you have.
Great, great. Yes, shall we have people come to respond to this by show of hand? I would like to give the floor freely to somebody who would like to go. Please raise your hand and you shall have the floor, and we shall be glad to listen from you. Yes, Opio Sandra. Opio Sandra, can we listen from you? What do you think? Okay, yes, Mr. Luvunya, what do you think? If this God is such a serious one, and he or she is concerned about all humanity, we are 8 billion people, why does he leave us or she leave us at the mercy of the guesswork of people to interpret him? Why doesn't he or she present himself clearly, unequivocally? Yes, Mr. Luvunya is also away. Mr. Ariong, Tom, Opio. All right. We have the resident theologian here. Priest White, please take it on.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a brief answer or a brief response for this session. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Well, the primary question is why, and I'll give the why, the reason. The reason is because of human beings. That is why the God who is that serious about our salvation has not actually presented himself. The reason is human beings. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. But before I do that, I have to inform those who are listening to us that the question assumes some kind of unseriousness in this being known as God. Because if he was serious, then he wouldn't leave this confusion to continue for all this long. And of course, we've just come to this planet Earth, but we have already witnessed the casualties of this confusion. through religion. I normally tell people that religion is one of the most, in fact, not one, is the number one most killer disease. So the question actually assumes the unseriousness in this God for not actually showing up and clarifying matters for the entire world. But well, my brief answer is that the number one reason why God has not showed up and dictated matters for the public to understand and have clarity is because of human beings. And what I mean by that is that human beings have a character that we have actually termed as free will. That is number one. And the epistemology of human beings is historical. Now, moderator, if you allow me, let me just demonstrate those two, and then I'll give way for others. Well, number one.
Please go ahead. Please go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes, number one is the free will. Free will means that the problem is not the absence of clarity. The problem is the free will, because even where there is clarity, people have chosen otherwise. Leave alone God not showing up. But it has been witnessed by most of us that even in circumstances where there is clarity and things are in black and white, people have chosen otherwise. And then when we have approached those people and asked them why they have chosen otherwise, they have said that it is their will. They have just will to choose so. And their problem is not that they missed clarity. They are very clear about what they have chosen. Hope this is not a very complex answer for all of us, but I am trying to communicate to you that even if God showed up and told people that I am God and all other gods are wrong, we will challenge that because he doesn't decide for us. So still that confusion will stay. You will still have the two schools of thought again in present. Those who say that, well, we understand the guy showed up and said that he's right, and we were wondering how he can say that he's right. That is for us to decide. So free will is one of the reasons as to why God has not showed up in the manner that people like my brother Rutembana want him to show up, but he has actually showed up in different ways, which I think will manifest later by other discussants. I hope and pray that they will. Now, that is number one. Number two is that the epistemology of human beings is historical. What do I mean by that? How people know things have got historical roots. Now, I want to ask, how can you be sure that this is God, even if he showed up, opened up the clouds and said, I am God? How can you be sure that he's God without a reference point? Because we have no frame of reference. No one has ever seen God, all right? So if he showed up, how can we know that he's the one? Because we have no historical framework for that. We don't. We don't have it. So when people say, but why doesn't God show up? What do people mean by that? Because how do we know he's him? We don't even have his picture. The Catholics and Hollywood produced an image they call that of Jesus Christ. But we know these are Hollywood actors. But some people till today are still hanging those Hollywood actors in their living rooms as Jesus, as Mary, you know? But these are not actual portraits and pictures of those individuals, actually. So what do we mean when we say that why doesn't God show up and we see him so that how will we tell? How will our epistemology work and function to confirm that whoever has opened the clouds is actually God? And because God understands that, and he doesn't want to confuse to cause more confusion, adding on what we already have, he is not naive like we are or like I am. I don't want to speak for others. He's not naive as I am. to come and demonstrate that kind of circus, because he knows that by doing that, he would have set a precedence. Other crowds will open somewhere, and then we'll have multiple gods who have opened up crowds, and they have introduced themselves as God. So those two reasons, moderator, if I am understood, they are the starting reasons as to why he has not done that. And for that matter, I think he's still as serious as he has always been. Thank you.
All right. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Before I bring Mr. Rutembana for follow-up questions, may I invite Mr. Muyanja first, and then I'll come to you, Mr. Inempunu, the Gospel Ninja. I'll come back to you later. May I invite Mr. Muyanja Enoch to have their say, please?
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to thank Pastor Isaiah for that submission. And mine is going to be just an addition for us to think about. First of all, again, that's a really important question, and the dilemma that some of the gullible individuals have used. I'm sure you have heard pastors who actually have lunch, breakfast, or dinner with God. Have you guys heard of such people? I don't know that you've heard of such people. A pastor comes and says, "Oh, I just had lunch with Jesus. I just had." So and so these people take advantage of that such that I think the person asking this question is saying they want to fill the gap. They want to feel that for them they know more about this individual than the rest. But I would like to submit that we do not need to see Jesus in the physical. I think everything that surrounds us shows the power of God. He has created us with a reasoning, with a mind, with a brain that we can, if we use that brain very well and search him, we will actually find him. Okay, we don't need to see the skies open and some white. Okay, they've given us this figure seated on a golden chair with lights all around. I mean, you can picture from when I was a kid. I can draw a picture of what I've been told God can look like or Jesus can look like. But we don't need to see all that. If we search him, we can find him in everything that surrounds us. So with the use of our brains, we can actually tell the counterfeit, because the counterfeits will always, they will, you can tell that this particular sect, as we discussed earlier, this particular sect, this particular religious belief is really a counterfeit because it does not make sense. When it's tested with time, when it's tested with the realities of life, it will not make sense. It will be a lie, a pure lie. So for me, I think let us use our reasoning, let us use our the brain that God has created us, let us use our time to search for him, and we will find him. And we will not be swayed by these people who have lunch and breakfast and dinner with him. Remember, it's a personal relationship. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Muyanja. Yes, the Gospel Ninja, would you take it away? Let me hope you heard the question. Do you need that I repeat the question for you, Mr. Inempunu?
Not really. I think I got the question clearly. And
please go forward. Yeah, proceed.
Musumba Isaiah was quite reluctant and getting judges him. Of course, I think in the same line with him, though what I would be straight up to is to say the allegation, it's an allegation that God has not revealed himself and has not spoken clarity. And I think he makes, Isaiah did well to tell us that even if he did, which he has already done, our first response and approach would be to question, to reject, to think that it's not true. We know the truth, but which is in our nature. C.S. Lewis writing in one of his signatures talks about how the Russians went to space, and they were saying, if God exists and is in heaven up there, we're going to space and we hope we can find him there. And C.S. Lewis asks, if you don't know him, if you don't know him while here on earth, there's no chance you'll recognize him when you're in space. And obviously that's the thing. When we ask that question, of course, as humanity, we don't realize the risk, the path that we get onto when we start to use statements like unseriousness towards God, because then we position ourselves as serious, and we create a standard called serious. And when we compare God to us, he falls short, which is innate in us as human beings. We tend to think that way. The risk there is then, what exactly where do we get the standard for that? And I'm using that for everything that we think of God, whether it's goodness, mercy, justice. Where do we get the idea that we know anything about seriousness better than God? If he was serious, he would have made us to breathe 100% oxygen. I remember one of the atheists telling me that the universe is not finely tuned. If he was the design of the universe, he would have made it much better. And in fact, one of the main things he raised was he would have made a better way of producing children, because the one God made is problematic. It causes a lot of pain and blah, blah. And I said, look here, you're saying this because you're born out of the same system that he made. And you feel like your brain is so fine that you think that the model that he made, that you came out of, is not good enough. You think that you can make a better one that would bring in you see, we risk highly to even imagine that God isn't to our standard of seriousness or intellect. And why do I go all that long? Because there's a lot, whether it is in history or now, that exists around us to tell us that. But a question can come to the questioner. Where has this questioner looked and come to that conclusion that God has not revealed himself and God has not spoken or said anything about himself? And so that when we interrogate the information that we claim that God has revealed about himself, and we can come to the conclusion, no, that's not the information that we expect of the kind of God we think and expect this God to be. Because then we would need another standard that represents the kind of information that we expect to come from the God who created the universe, having examined or interrogated the primary information that he has given us. And from a Christian point of view, I will use the Bible and say, when we examine the Bible, do we think it is coming from who, where? Because there's a lot about the Bible that says that there is someone communicating with us. Two, around us, Paul tells us in Romans that all that needs to be known about God has been revealed to us in creation. In fact, chapter 1 of Romans goes a long way to describe the fact that those who are claiming that they haven't seen God are actually trying to suppress a truth that is just bare before them. And he says they are without excuse, because everything that needs to be known is there. Finally, friends, I think in a joking way, when Musumba Isaiah said, God has not done that the way we want it, or he has not revealed himself, or he has not come to us the way we want because of us. When the last time he did it, we killed him, to be honest. The last time he did it, we rallied ourselves and killed him. And I'm not saying that he's fearing to come back because we will kill him again. But the thing is that he did. He revealed himself. And to me, it's a historical record. He did it. And he proved it, one, the way he did it in coming, and the way he did it in the ending or in the climax of the fact that even when we killed him, he rose from the dead, demonstrating nothing, something that no one had ever done. And for all the people that, all the narratives around religion and God, no other narrative makes the same claim. And of a deity or God or anything that people believe in, and a supernatural being that they believe in, that they can say died and came back to life. Of course, the first thing they'll say, he never died. Anyway, I may go on preaching to the choir, rambling around, but I have questions for the questioner in terms of where have they searched for this God? Or are they saying that the faculties that they have, the eyes, the mind, the intellect, the hands, have not beheld anything that points towards this God? And then begin from there, go on to interrogate further. Is there any other information? And then perhaps interrogate the Bible and more other information that God has provided besides what people say. Well, my friends, I can't say anymore. Let me stop it there. But I have questions for the question as well. That's what I was saying.
Thank you, Mr. Vinempunu. As representative of the person who asked, or of the questioner, yes, in your response, you assert very well that this God has revealed self or himself, and the first time he did was killed and so on. But your point was this God has revealed himself to the suitability of those whom he is revealing himself to. Probably the questioner would like to ask, why then, why if this he or she, this God has done to all?
Saidi, and you broke. I don't know whether others got you clearly. Sorry.
One wonders why isn't it? Yeah, sorry about that. I was saying that why isn't then this story permissive, or why doesn't it permeate in all the rest of the stories? And I mean, why isn't this God understood that way amongst the Buddhists, amongst the Confucianists, amongst the Hinduists, amongst the Mohammedanists? I mean, are they just obdurate? Are they stubborn? Or they're not aware, or they're aware, but it is not possible for them to understand the way you do understand, because this story or this talk is within a particular culture and within a particular people. If this God wanted to be as clear as possible, why probably didn't or doesn't he or she present self amongst the Confucianists as well, and the Chinese, for example, in that manner, so that he's unequivocal?
Of course, they know he has. I think the response would be, it's not that he hasn't. Everything begins somewhere, and I think that's why the biblical narrative is smarter. And even if anybody came up with it, I was having a conversation with someone and said, if Moses personally came up with the first 5 books of the Bible, forget Solomon. That's the smartest man to ever exist. If Moses came up with the first 5 books of the Bible, don't tell me Solomon. To write Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy is something that requires a lot more than just mere intellect. Okay? Now, why do I use that? Because everything begins somewhere. And God shows us that even the Confucius never claimed to be God. Not even Buddha himself never claimed to be God. He never claimed to have created anything. So even the Buddhist has an opportunity to ask Buddha, but where did you come from? But what about the food we eat? Buddha, you have 2 eyes. Why don't you have 20? So I think even as we ask and think these things, there is a narrative that presents us a story bigger than all the other stories. And perhaps while we are looking at the other stories, God is not saying don't. He's saying those stories don't tell everything, don't tell you everything. This is the story that tells you everything. Everything from the beginning to even the end, where you will, when you will not be around. And so those other people groups that receive the news later don't receive the news accidentally. But in this very narrative that we have the privilege to hear and believe, this very narrative includes even the Confucianists, the Buddhist. I spent 7 years in Karamoja, and I told one of my atheist friends that I was amazed at the response to the gospel in Karamoja. Era ne mugamba, gwenga scientist, tugende. You teach whether math or chemistry, whatever you want to teach. Each one of us gets 30 minutes. Them guys want to go 2 hours. Then go say 30 minutes, I preach the gospel. I want you to pay attention to which one they will respond to. They have ears, they will have translators to translate to them whatever you say and whatever I say. And it may be biased and simplistic. But the truth is that even the Karimojong in the rural, atawuliranga ku Yesu, onjiri, when you tell them about sin, when you tell them about their need to find redemption, they hear it, they identify with it. The other religions tell you to work, and that is a human thing. The Christianity presents you the story, and why I use this line, the story that God has revealed himself through is, for example, the story of grace. When you critically look at this story and this God, if you're asking this God, first of all, omubuuza omumanyi, omubuuza tomumanyi, bw'ati omumanyi, then listen to him akubuulire ye y'ani. Because if you just take the aspect of grace, all other religions require you to work it out. Think of any religion, require you to work it out and earn it. If this God claims to be a God of grace, the biblical narrative that reveals to us this God tells us of that nature, that aspect of him, that he's a gracious God, and he has not let us to work it out, to work our way to himself. He has come and made that way graciously for us. All the other gods, all the other religions, think about them. They require you to work it and earn it. And so why do I come back at it like that and say, you know what? The others, yes, they have existed, but this story begins somewhere and then spreads to all of us. The question might be then, what about those who never had this story before it came? Because after it has come, Paul tells us, for the times of ignorance, God has overlooked it. But now he calls everyone to repent. What does that mean? That whoever didn't hear this story, it's not my business to determine what is their fate. That was the time of ignorance, and God knows it. When Abraham was negotiating with God about Sodom and Gomorrah, he came to that place where he thought, you know what? A God who is just will know how to do what is right. Anyone who died before Christ came, that one, God has the right to judge them accordingly. But even before, Abraham came and believed in God, and God reached out to him and he believed him even before Christ came. So there are people whom he will judge, and indeed he judges and demonstrates in the Old Testament that when he came to them, they rejected him. Then there are those who responded to him, and he actually was gracious to them. Read the Old Testament. Persian kings, Babylonian kings, kings from Gentile nations and where I use kings because kings were powerful and most of them represented the prowess of their gods. That the gods dwelt and worked on behalf of kings. And the fact that kings believed in this very God and traded their own gods shows that there was belief in God, in this very God, even before Christ. But even then, the times of ignorance of this God have been overlooked. From then on, Banaye, the only way to know this God is Yesu. So he has revealed himself. The times of claiming that he hasn't revealed himself have passed. He has revealed himself, he has demonstrated, he has shown it, and there is a path, and there is no regret in following that path. The fact that there are people who have misrepresented him, that is typical human behavior. Museveni, let's use Museveni. Museveni is said to be a good president. I was telling a friend recently, oyo guy sichiwanti aina information entuufu ku ggwanga lino okitegeera, because there are things that you see being done, always things he says, and you're thinking, wait a minute, is this guy really aware of the reality? But there are people around him, even if he has the best intentions, there are people around him who are taking advantage, misinforming him, and then creating havoc in this country. Okitegeera. So, and I'm using an example that falls totally short. Okay? God has revealed himself. He has the best plans and intentions for us. People have misrepresented him. People who have misunderstood him. You pick up the Bible, read it, and tell me that he's still hidden. Okay? That's what I'll end with. And I'm biased. I'm telling you, I am coming from a particular worldview. And unfortunately.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Igembule. Thank you very much. Yes, Rutembana Mchezi.
Hello. Thank you so much. And me, I'm going to start from. Let me just try to build the question again. You see, this group here is a very, very special group, and I'll say this in this way. One, we have Katri Oyo Raymond Oyo Bukenya. I know him very well. He was one of the biggest brains in the Anglican Church. People who understand the Bible. If you to bring it at the standard of an Anglican church, he was cream de la cream. Now, Isaiah, on the same side, he also understands the Bible. In fact, there's a friend of mine who was in some group about Bible reading. He just made a comment. He's like, but that guy knows the Bible. Now, these are two guys. Then there's also Dr. Mukwana, but I don't understand. I don't know much about Mukwana. But at least these two people, Raymond and Isaiah, I know they understand the Bible. But if you bring Isaiah and Raymond on a panel, they will not agree on so many aspects. And at least the discussions that we have had here regarding some Bible doctrines, they have not been concluded because one side says this, another side says this, but both of them are very good in this Bible. Now, me, this is my concern. The Bible, Raymond knows. The Bible, Isaiah knows. The same book, 66 books, and these guys have literally studied this book, they know it, but they don't agree on certain aspects. Now, these are the leaders who have read it. Remember, there are people behind them who are being taught by them. I'm just using figuratively Raymond and Isaiah because they're the people that we have here. But just imagine the other denominations. All these people read, study, and they preach, and then they have people who follow them. Now, my question is that difference where Raymond says the Bible says this, and this is what I understand, but Isaiah is saying this is what I understand, is the one that is actually bringing the division. In the 2.3 billion that we have talked about, there's already that division. I think the Catholics are like 1 billion, and then the Anglicans are like 800, and then the rest come there, small. We have people who have read the Bible.
Milioni vitano sema.
Tu vitano, eh?
Muweza na vitano.
Anglicans. No, Anglicans were like 800 million, Raymond. But anyway, we now that is at a Christian level. At a Christian level, we have not moved to the other 6 billion that we're talking about. Now, that is where my question is: why doesn't God tell? Because now me, I like I told you, I'm an Anglican church member, but then I also had a small stint in the SDA, so I can tell you that I can listen to Raymond as my reverend, I can listen to Isaiah as my pastor, but the two guys don't agree because the two doctrines are different. Now, me, I was lucky that I could go to both denominations, and I'm very comfortable. Now, the question is, why is that thing keep coming there? Because there's a person who will say Catholic is the right religion and the Pentecostal is the right religion. Then on top of that, there's one who is saying Buddha is the right religion or Islam or whatever. And you know, this comes from our environmental conditioning, because how you grew up, how you're raised, how you're trained, how you're what influences what we believe in. We're all discussing these things here because of our background. All of us discuss these things because of what we have been trained from the time when we're there's no that objectivity that all of us are starting from zero. So the question that we're asking here is that since there's that, we are already influenced by our culture bringing under background. Why doesn't this guy come out objective and tell us that actually you, because you're born in an Anglican church is rubbish, the right thing is here. But because you're born in an Anglican church, you're going to meet Raymond there, Raymond preaches to you for 20 years, you will get stuck. It will be very hard to get out of this. I don't know if my question makes sense. And what ends up is people will abandon these things because it's proper confusion.
Thank you. Thank you, Rutembana. Before I bring back Pastor White and probably Mr. Bukenya, do you have any person who'd like to say something relevant in that line? Yes. Yes, Mr. Young, please.
I'm sorry, I am driving, so there's background noise or anything.
Yeah, even your sound rises and falls.
I sound what?
Your sound is unclear. It keeps on rising and falling.
I'm saying I'm driving. I'm on transit, but I want to say something.
Please go ahead.
Now, when Rutembana asks this question, I seem to understand that the yardstick of the media or medium through which God should reveal himself is the five senses, the human five senses. Are we as humans limited to only those five senses, or there is another way that we can perceive and understand God and his revelation? That's the first question. The second one is,
could you, Mr. Young?
Yes.
Could you please ask again? We lost you somewhere. Would you please ask again?
What I'm asking is, Rutembana seems to us basing on our five senses as a human. The frame, the yardstick, the measure of revelation is the five senses. He seems to say God should come in the clouds that we see and hear and maybe touch and taste. Are we limited? Are we confined? Are we only our five senses? Can't we understand God without our five senses? Or can we understand him further than our five senses can propel us? That's the first question. The second one is, am I on?
Like which one? Like which one, Tom? Which others? Which other way can we understand him outside that?
I'm saying that you seem to ask that God should reveal himself and come out unequivocally to tell us and guide us using our five senses. Am I right?
Yes, because that is what we can comprehend.
Okay, right, very soon. Now, are we limited only those five senses as human beings? That's the first question. The second one is, are Christians right about this God? And because Christianity has its own world. I'm talking about Christianity. It has its own.
Yes, Mr. Young, the problem you keep on rising and falling. Sorry, we will have to excuse ourselves from you.
Where
you'll come back later. Mr. Young, please, you'll come back later. We keep on losing and getting back to you. Thank you very much, though. Yes, Mr. Inebiona.
Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
I would love to associate myself with two questions in this case. Number one, at the point where we believe that God is our creator, and then we think that God has not revealed himself, and other people think that God has revealed himself. Now, my question one is, how has he revealed himself to the people who believe that he has revealed himself? Number one, if you claim that he has revealed himself from the understanding of the Bible, then what about the people who do not believe in the Bible? How best could they have known him? Probably that was his question number one at the start. Number two, if we don't understand him through our senses, how best else can we understand him? Now, my pastor one day, that is Peter, my mentor, one day told me that, you see, God reveals himself to us gradually, basing on the levels where we are. When you're a child, what you know is not what happens when you grow old. Probably God should, not God, probably we should understand in this case, at what level do we understand God? And how is his revelation affected by the environment? And how best can we beat that up? So that at the end of the day, all of us should know him. All of us should see him, or should understand who he is, or should understand the matrix of God. Other than people claiming that he has revealed himself, other people claim that he has not revealed himself. And at the end of the day, we crash. Someone believes in the Bible this way, another one believes in the Bible this way, and some other people do not even believe in the Bible. So how best can we beat up that so that we have a central understanding of God? Thank you.
Mr. Inabiona's question goes like this. I would like to paraphrase. For those here who have claimed that this God has revealed himself, could you please help us explain how he has? Number one. Number two, for those who still claim this God has not revealed himself, could you also explain how this God has not revealed himself? Have I represented you well, Mr. Justice Inebiona?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes, Pastor White, Isaiah Tumwini. God has revealed himself, so you claim. How so?
Well, thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Well, God has revealed himself in two ways. Probably I'll come up with a third, but for now, let me present the two ways that God has revealed himself. They're ordinarily speaking, and this is elementary Bible study, there is what we call general revelation and special revelation of God. Those are the two ways that God has revealed himself through. Now, I'll start with the general revelation. The debate between the theists, those are the people who believe there is a being we have called God, and atheists, normally operates around the general revelation. Our argument, because I belong to the school of the theists, is that when you look at the world, okay, it is impossible for any rational being to assume that whatever you see in the world and the world as it is there by chance. And it is through that general revelation that we normally deduce these defenses of God, like the cosmological argument of God, like the design argument of God, etc., etc. We get all those. So when you look at the world and how it works, your body, nature itself, the physiology of the entire universe, you will understand that there is an intelligent being as the causative agent of whatever that you see. So when you look at the world, it will communicate a designer. It will communicate an intelligent supra being beyond that. These things cannot evolve by the Big Bang, accident, or bursting. They just cannot evolve from nothingness. These things, and by things I mean the world, are intentional, are designed, and have been put in place by that intelligent being. And because human beings are rational beings, so I guess we have been situated in such a world that we have started thinking around our environment, and we have contemplated an intelligent designer behind our world, and hence the search of that intelligent designer. And that process actually has given birth to all these various beliefs and various settings and containers of worshiping this intelligent designer behind this phenomenon we call our world. So that is one of the reasons. So what you see as multiple beliefs and variations in our understanding of this intelligent being is a product of first of all, the revelation of that being in nature and in the world, because God has already revealed himself. People are now searching. They are mumbling, they are fumbling within that general revelation. And the more they fumble, the more they come up with conclusions and positions, and these are religions. You can start with African traditional religions and our gods and what they mean and what they intend. Then you can go all over. And that general revelation happened at once. It didn't start anywhere. It didn't start in Europe to come to Africa. It didn't start in Africa to go to Europe. It didn't start from a particular place. It just happened at once, or you could say concurrently. So God has revealed himself in that perspective of the general revelation. Now, God has also revealed himself in another way, and that is what we call the special revelation. The special revelation, now in the general revelation, God has revealed himself in the world. Now, in the special revelation, God has revealed himself in the word. In the word. Now, that is the special revelation. Now, that special revelation of the word, he he has revealed himself historically, okay, historically. But that historical perspective, what we mean by that is that human beings do not have merely problems, but they have recognized that there is a problem. And while they can solve these natural problems they go through, like science has done, I have seen people saying, you don't need God. We can solve everything. We are still researching. We'll come up with solutions. Scientists and philosophers, etc., should continue working on those solutions, should continue researching, but I want to assure them that they can only solve problems. They won't solve the problem. And the problem is the cause of those problems. So human beings, in all cultures, by the way, in all traditions, in all religions, have actually realized, and you don't need to believe God to understand that there's a fundamental problem that is actually functioning as the cause of all these troubles that we are into. They have discovered that there is the problem. Now, that problem, okay, it is the bearing upon which we build what we call the special revelation of the word. Now, that is where this book called the Bible comes in as the literature word. And that is where this theology of God revealed himself in the body, okay, also comes in. The phenomenon of the Jesus of Nazareth, where we argue, and when we say we argue, we Christians argue that the very God, that very big designer behind everything, became a creature to solve a problem for his creatures that they could not solve. So we insist in our Christian theology that God became flesh, dwelt among us, beheld his glory, died and resurrected. Now that Jesus is very crucial, because that is where we interpret and we defend the revelation of this God. But this revelation of the special revelation was very particular, because he had come to deal with the problem that causes all the troubles that we suffer with in this world. So and I could go on and on and on in that area. But for now, I wanted us to know that God has revealed himself in the word, and that word is the Bible. But when I say the Bible, I do not intend that the revelation of the special revelation of the word is restricted to the Bible, because that's where many theologians and many Bible teachers actually miss the point. It is not restricted to that word, but all literature actually, okay, all literature are forms of that special revelation, because we know the phenomenon of the language, which actually distances us and makes us distinct from all other creatures. But fundamentally, we could now use the Bible. Now that you're Christians, I don't want to abuse your psychology. So God has revealed himself in the word literature, and has revealed specially himself in the word as that being that became the flesh, what the Greeks have called the logos, and became the flesh and dwelt among us and died to solve the actual problem, which we call sin, hamartia. So God has revealed himself, and we have beheld his glory. And this is why we are here, because we are not now, we know that we can deal with all other troubles in the world. We're using doctors, using scientists, using business people, using whatever. In fact, literally, you can solve most of the problems. There's only one problem that you can't solve, and that's sin, hamartia, aka that results into death. And that is what this God who revealed himself in a special way came to solve. I hope I've not...
Isaiah.
Yes.
Now the challenge is, now why is it that that revelation you don't agree with let's say Sengawa?
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, is Bukenya still on? Raymond has dropped off, right?
Raymond,
Yes.
who is on?
Raymond,
Hey.
Yeah.
Raymond is off.
Okay. By the way, Pedson, I was here when you were asking those questions, and let me just confess this, because I might say it when you die, because obviously you will die before me. So let me say it in your hearing. So when you were asking this question, I said, this guy is intelligent. You asked a very intelligent question, by the way. But when we disagree in the Bible, you must qualify the disagreement. And what do I mean by that? For instance, me and Raymond, he's not here, but I'm going to let me use Nicholas, Dr. Nicholas, because Dr. Nicholas is still here. Me and Dr. Nicholas, we do not agree on the teaching of the Trinity. We do not agree. Dr. Mukwana, am I right? Because I want to demonstrate something here.
100%.
Exactly. Good. No, I don't miss Raymond. Now that I have Nicholas here. Me and Dr. Mukwana, we do not agree on the Trinity. But Pedson, as far as the Trinity is concerned, me and Dr. Mukwana agree, as far as the Trinity is concerned, that it has nothing to do with one's salvation. Do we agree on that, Dr. Mukwana, now that you are here?
Yes, we do.
Good. Therefore, my brother Pedson, whenever you see a disagreement between Bible readers and Bible holders, find out exactly the qualifiers of that disagreement. Do they agree on matters of faith that concern eternal destinies, or they just disagree on matters of practice that one can live as a Christian with or without? Because these are very crucial. For instance, let me take you back where you know my history. I disagreed with the Seventh-day Adventists when they stated that the law has something to do, or the law, or obedience to the law, participates to one's salvation. Now, that is a canon. Now, that is a qualified disagreement, because what we are discussing here now, we are talking in terms of right and wrong, truth and false. But I agree with the Seventh-day Adventists when it comes to the health eating or health diet. Do not drink caffeine. Do not drink. Do not eat too much red meat. I agree with the SDA. I really agree with them when it comes to that. But I disagree when it comes to matters of eternity. We are discussing salvation here. This is why at iTiS we have kept ourselves
Isaiah.
fundamentalists. Yes.
Isaiah.
Yes.
Those are the, you remember that is my question. My question is on our destiny. Now, you're disagreeing with the Alisengawa on when it comes to destiny.
Yes. Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Now, the Seventh-day Church has 100 and what? 100 and Jet, how many are you? 150?
120.
150. 120 people.
But Jethro is attacked, Pedson.
Okay. My question, Isaiah, is this.
Yes.
The SDAs are 120. You got the light, you moved away, but you left 120 people there. And these people are still believing in the doctrine that they have been conditioned into. And some of them, you will not blame them that you told them and they refuse to listen. Now, if these people are destined not to go to heaven, what is the job of God? How come he has just ignored it for 120 people to perish in quotes?
Okay. Let me go to that, and then I will invite, I'm not the moderator, but I pray that the moderator invites Mukwana to back me up here. Here's the thing, my brother Peterson. God has not ignored the 120 who believe that the law has something to do with one's salvation. He has not. This is why Isaiah White never shut his mouth until he went to the headquarters of these 120 and clearly made these statements. Number one. Number two, I want to show you how God works, person. I want to defend God that he has not even ignored them. The very Isaiah White was summoned to the headquarters of the Seventh Adventist Church, and he went there. First, he went there he was invited for a camp meeting, and this boy Isaiah White preached against what the SDS believed publicly. The leaders of this religion summoned Isaiah White to come in their ecumenical council to defend what he taught. He went with the Bible. The leaders said that we are not going to read the Bible. We don't want to read the Bible. All we're asking, are you still with us or not? Isaiah asked them, do you want us to talk about what I'm teaching and prove me wrong biblically or not? They insisted, we are not opening the Bible. Isaiah took it into his hands, wrote a resignation letter where he put all his teachings and all the responses that he got from the leaders and published those publicly. That is what he did. So God has not ignored that. You are a historian. You know the story of Luther and the Catholic Church, the 99 Theses. God has not ignored. We are preaching, every day, every Sunday, and in fact, not every week. We record and publicize our teachings publicly for the public to read. God has not ignored that. He has not ignored them for destruction. This is why we are preaching and teaching. This is why we have these Zoom fellowships. So a human being must choose willingly. In fact, let me tell you, Pedson, it is very difficult to get lost or to be destroyed eternally than it is actually to even get to heaven. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your contributions and for your questions. It is 5 minutes to 8, and I'm sorry, I will not have to extend this any further. I would like to just thank you for having turned up. Thank you,
Yeah, but
Pastor
there is some 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm the moderator, please. I'm the moderator.
Suggested. There are 5 minutes. If you give me two, it will do me good.
Yes, I am the moderator. I would like to thank Mr. Nsamba for hosting us. I would like to very much to also thank the members who are here. Madam Opio Sandra, you're very much welcome. We invite you to come always. Enoch Muyanja, who cut our aid, and we are wobbling in darkness. Justice Naviona, thank you very much. Mr. Biasali, you've been silent, but you're very, very much welcome. And would like to appreciate your presence today. I would like to make some announcements that on Thursday, we shall have a special session on mental health and you. Mental health, we have invited one of the lead counselors from Chambogo University in the Department of Counseling Psychology, who will be here. Please attend and let us inform each and every one of ours or our colleagues, because mental health is a problem. Mental health is a problem. So I would like to use this opportunity to remind you and to come by. We still have 3 minutes. I would like to give 2 full minutes to Reverend Dr. Mukwana and let him have his say. Please come help the fellowship. Have your say.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, for reconsidering your position. Just wanted to add something to what Priest Isaiah said. In the Bible, there's a story of Elijah, if you all remember, when Elijah complained to God that he was the only prophet remaining. And according to that text, God challenged him and said, no, you're not the only one. I have other 7,000 who are hiding in the cave. So it's very possible that there are 70 or 7,000 in the Anglican Church, in the Catholic Church, in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, in fact, even in a mosque that believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, but they have hidden there. I remember there is a time that should be 2 or 3 years ago, we're discussing why people don't want to leave their religions. And one of the points that was raised by Opio, have not forgotten, Elder Opio, is that people don't want to be isolated, or people don't want to start looking for new fellowships. So God has not ignored anyone. God has his people here on this Zoom as much as he has in the Seventh-day Adventist, and as much as he has in every other, they are there. But that is only known to God. So God has never forgotten anyone. And I want to thank Mr. Simwe for being very concerned about the people that he thinks God has forgotten. God has not forgotten anyone. He knows them. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
May God bless, keep and protect you until we meet on Thursday between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. for mental health and you. From me tonight, Peter Calvin and Silvide, iTiS Well of Worship Fellowship. May God bless, keep and protect you. Good night.
People should know that we are Christians, but we are hosted by a Seventh-day Adventist chairman, Mr. Jethro Nsamba. So really, God has not